Hello, everyone. I'm Dee Lisa, the Dream Doula for Creative Spiritual Women.
Okay, I am Christina Spataro, the psychotherapist and relationship coach for people who want to improve their relationships, but who also want to get in touch with who they were always meant to be before life got in the way.
Ooh, who were you meant to be before life got in the way? And here's the question we're going to ponder today. What are you waiting for?
Mm.
Or what was the question? What was the question? It was something more fantastic than that. But if not now, when?
Yeah.
I don't have enough time. It's the idea that, especially as women, we
Mm-hmm.
put other people ahead of us. We
Mm-hmm.
take care of other people's needs, maybe our children, maybe our
Mm-hmm.
spouse,
Mm-hmm.
maybe our career. And then one day we're like, oh, we have a calling. That's
Yeah.
something that's pulling us in our heart space to do or be
Mm-hmm.
or have. And we're like, I can't do that. It's too late for me.
Mm.
And let's talk about that for a minute. Is it really too late for you?
Well,
I
what
say
I tell,
no. I
I
say
say
if you're
no.
alive, it's not too late.
I was just going to say that. That's exactly what I tell my clients. I said, listen, as long as you're living and breathing, it's not too late.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've heard it said by other spiritual teachers that if you're alive, you're not done.
Yeah, I
In
like
fact,
that.
I heard it as like, do you still need to do forgiveness work? If you're still breathing, the answer is yes.
I like that.
Um, but we all have goals and dreams, and truly, if you get to a certain age, maybe your body won't do the things that you really want to do. Like you can't maybe surf 100-mile wave, 100-mile long wave if you're
Hmm.
100, but you could still talk and walk
Hmm.
and inspire
Absolutely.
people. So I
Absolutely.
have two lady friends that are inspiring to me. One's 91 and she's written her second book.
Good for
One's
her.
82 and she's the minister of a church and she is a force of nature. If she asks you to do something, you say yes, even if you
Wow.
weren't ever thinking about doing that before. She gets people to help her all day long and she gets interesting people to come and
Wow.
talk to her at church, which I think is super cool.
I like that.
So they're in their 80s, they're in their 90s, they're not quitting, they're not
Mm-mm.
stopping. And I know many women in their 60s still doing what they are doing for work and also transitioning into if they don't work so much, what are they going to
Hmm.
do next?
Right. Right.
So, can you think of something in your life, Christina, and this might be too personal, you don't have to share, that you thought you wanted to do, but you just kept putting off?
Something I thought I wanted to do, but I kept putting off. I probably, there's a couple of things. One was when I was working for other people, I always thought I wanted to private practice and I put it off for so long. And then I kind of was doing it, but then I was doing it sort of drips and drabs. And it wasn't until I just said, nope, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this now because why am I putting it off for?
Yeah.
And the other one is writing. You know, I've always loved writing. It's been a passion of mine. So, and I always have these stories I'm working on. So probably that is the one thing that I have put off
Mm.
more than I should because it is a passion.
All right, so let's talk about that for a moment. I think some people that might, if you're still listening, thank you. Some people that might still be listening to this would say, well, I have a passion, but it's not realistic. And I have a passion, it's not going to make me money. And I have a passion, and I don't think I know how to do that well enough to really pursue it. I would ask all the people who think those things
Hmm.
to just start doing it anyway.
Exactly. I mean, so many times I have clients come to me and they're like, this is what I want, but I can't do it. And I'm like,
Yes.
why can't you? Well, and they give me all the reasons why you can't. And to be sure, you will always have reasons why you can't do something. You will always have reasons why you can't do something. But instead of you giving yourself reasons why you can't do it, what if you actually could find ways for you to do it?
Yeah, because when you do those things that your heart is pulling for you, your soul self is saying, do it, do it, do
Do it, do it, do
it.
it. Exactly.
You get energy.
You
Maybe you
do.
don't get a best-selling book, maybe you do. Uh, but you get energy from doing it because it makes your heart sing. Even if you're doing it 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at
Yes.
night when you're not pulled and pushed by the rest of life, if you just spend a little bit of time, it makes you feel happier and it makes you feel more alive and it brings other really cool things into your life.
I agree with you. You know, back to the writing thing, I had gone to a writers conference. This was in pre-pandemic days. And I got a chance to speak with an agent editor panel. You know, that's the cool thing about this conference, you can do that. And so I told them my idea, and they liked it a lot. They said, "Why don't you write it?" And I was so motivated by it that I actually wrote the book.
Cool.
And even though I had to take time, stay up, whatever, I felt so energized in the time I wrote those nearly 300 pages. I was like, I felt so alive. It felt great. My creative juices were flowing. Now, it didn't get published, but it started me on a track to be like, if you want something badly enough, you can make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and sometimes that first book is just like your first pancake. You have to throw it
Mhm.
out and
Exactly.
start a new one.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
Oh, thank you, Tim. I'm thinking of a friend of mine who is a chef. He made jokes about throwing out your first baby. Like your first, got to throw out the first baby and the first pancake.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, not literal baby, guys. We're
No,
talking about
no,
creative
not your
babies
real
here.
baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe the first thing you make. I can remember when I started going to art school to seriously study how to make paintings. I was
Mm-hmm.
learning how to paint in oil, and I had no idea how to mix the colors, how to wash the brushes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
how to do anything. My first painting was really, really, really terrible.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when the teacher came to look at it, because he says, "Okay, I want you to set up these white objects and paint those, and I'll look at your painting next week." And when he looked at it, he's like, he was a bit speechless, and he
Mm-hmm.
started to stutter a little bit and try to find some words, and he's like, uh, uh, hmm, why, why is the paint so thick?
Oh, God.
And then he just said, "Listen, let's start over.
Okay.
Let's get a new panel." And he showed me how he wanted me to do it. And then he showed me another student's work that was similar to what he wanted me to do. And he said, "She'll help you." And then I thought, oh, okay. But you know what? Starting back for me, that's how I learn is
Mm-hmm.
I try to do something. It doesn't really work out that well.
Right.
And then someone shows me how to do it, and then I know how to do it better.
Exactly.
And I can keep going on that track until everything's stacked upon another and another and another. And I've gone up the ladder of being better at whatever it was someone was helping me do. That could be public speaking, that could be
Mm-hmm.
how to show up on social media,
Mm-hmm.
that could be writing your book or making your painting
Mm-hmm.
or sewing that beautiful gown, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is. You could just start with baby steps and go do it.
Exactly. That is a perfect way to put it. The idea that a lot of what holds us back, well, what if I do it and it doesn't work out? Or
Yeah.
what if I'm not good enough? Well, here's the thing. No, you don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be great at the jump. You're going to have mistakes. You're going to fall down. You're good. All of that will happen. The key is if you really want something to not pursue it with the idea that you won't have disappointments, pursue it with the idea that you will, but it'll be much more disappointing to never pursue something that really matters to you.
Oh, right. Light bulb moment. I hear that when people asked Thomas Edison, Well, how did it feel to fail 9,999 times before you invented the light bulb? You said, "Oh, I never failed." Each of those experiments that didn't work were feedback. I found 9,999 ways to not make a light bulb.
Yep.
And when he died, he had thousands and thousands and thousands of patents to his name.
Wow.
And you know that every single one didn't turn out brilliant the
Mm-hmm.
first time because we know about the light bulb.
Exactly.
The other thing that's really interesting is when you start to pursue something that your heart is pulling you to do, no matter what that is, learning how to surf or learning how to stand on stage or whatever the
Mm-hmm.
thing is that's calling your heart, it's not really doing the thing or doing the thing perfectly
Mm-hmm.
that is the gift.
Mm-hmm.
The gift is who you become as a
Mm-hmm.
person while you're doing it because you become more of who you are.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Just the act of doing something, of listening to your heart, listening to your soul, and pursuing something, you become who you are supposed to be.
Yeah, because when we're doing what other people tell us to, we're like, I don't want to do that. When we're
Mm-hmm.
doing what society expects of us, sometimes it's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. When we're doing what our mother told us to or our father told us to, even though they might be dead now, we
Yeah.
can still hear those voices in our head. We are probably not living from our soulful self. We're living from other
Mm-hmm.
people's expectations or societal expectations. And do those make us happy? Probably not.
Probably not.
But stepping outside of that, falling in line, being a good
Mm-hmm.
girl
Mm-hmm.
paradigm is to also free yourself
Yes.
and become yourself. And so it's so beautiful when I see people really being who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And some of my friends who are like 80 or 90, they're who they are now because F it.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to tell them not to be that way? Nobody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In fact, I thanked someone for following me on TikTok the other day and they said, "You're welcome. You remind me of your grandma, of my grandma." And I was like, wait a minute. I remind you of your grandma. Wow. Okay. That's cool. I hope they have a cool grandma.
Yeah. They have a very cool grandma.
Whatever. I'm like their grandma. I'm like, okay. Um, that shouldn't be an insult. I loved my
Mm-hmm.
grandma. She was cool.
Mm.
She lived next door. I loved her.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
And yeah, I can say that all the elders in my life, in my own family,
Mm-hmm.
my mother, her mother, my grandmother, and even my aunt, who I'm inspired to be artistic and kind of out of the box with. I think all those women did not live their full potential. They did not live their most beautiful life because they were constrained by what society
Mm-hmm.
told them they could do, or they were constrained by what they thought they could do.
That is a mic drop right there.
Yeah, Mike,
Yeah, double
drop.
mic.
Talk to you later.